Good morning, guys.
What's up?
Well, I guess it's late after. Yeah, it's afternoon. But we have something really important to tackle today. We should be tackling our bathroom and finishing that up, but a lot of that is just cosmetics and just making it nice and pretty. And instead, we have something more crucial that needs to be tackled.
Yeah, so fall is in full effect. Almost all of the leaves are gone off the trees, which means you can see straight through the forest pretty much. That's a big issue with the type of neighbors that we have. So we're going to be going to our backside of the property, digging up some eastern red cedar trees that we have and relocating them, transplanting them over here behind the chicken coop and along the fence line, so that way we can kind of set up a privacy screen.
The audio quality will get better, so just bear with us. It's quite windy right now and I forgot to charge the microphones. They are currently charging, so it will get better. Just give us a little bit of time. But I did want to try to explain what we're covering up and why we're covering it up in the best way that I can. We're going to be really careful about how we talk about this and what exactly we show, because while our privacy has not been respected, we still want to do everything that we can to respect their privacy. But how our property sits is our house is on a hill, even though we are quite literally in the middle of our property. Our house is on a hill, there's a valley, and then there's a neighboring property that has kind of like a hill. Since Cody and I have moved in, there's been a road that has a direct line of sight to everything here. Again, I want to be very careful about what I say. The goal with moving these trees is to basically fence in this top half without having to put an actual fence, so that way you can't see me drinking my coffee on the deck in the morning, or really anything that we choose to do in our front yard. Like just standing here right now, you can see everything. So again, without going into too much detail, that is why we are doing this. And we want to utilize as many of the resources on our own property as we possibly can. A lot of the back half don't really go over there. We try to keep it as wooded as we possibly can, but instead of spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on trees, we're going to pull some trees from the back half of the property and move them over here. Cody calculated it on how much we would spend purchasing this like 6-foot trees. How much was it?
6 trees is $540, and we need like 150 trees, 200 trees, something like that. If we were to put it up exactly the way actually, I think double that, because I think that was only for 1 row.
Yeah.
So we need a lot of trees, and we're not going to spend tens of thousands of dollars to buy trees.
And we're also not going to, let me clarify, we're also not going to uproot 100 and something trees. We're just going to take a few of the bigger ones that we see that are still at a place where they can be transported and move them to behind the chicken coop, to somewhat start the whole coverage process. We're also going to be clearing a lot of that so the undergrowth can grow up. So yeah, let me just clarify, we're not uprooting 100 trees and moving them. We're just taking a few of the really big ones to kind of start this journey. As you can assume, we're not going to have immediate coverage overnight. Wham bam, thank you ma'am, we now have privacy. We will have to continue to work on it for years. So especially a lot of the little cedar trees that Cody has already transplanted, which I'll show you in just a second, those are obviously going to take a very long time, years and years and years, to be able to grow into these beautiful, you know, full coverage trees. But the goal is to start the process now for the future. If we would have known we were going to have these issues 3 years ago, we would have started the process 3 years ago. But it is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, they're not super slow growing. They grow about 1 to 3 feet a year, depending on how much sunlight they get and, you know, how, I guess, the part of the region you're in, so how long your growing season is and all that. So we can probably expect to get 2 feet out of them a year in growth.
Yeah. But immediate coverage overnight, not going to happen.
Yeah, and she was talking about it a minute ago about we're not going to uproot hundreds of trees. No, we're not, but I did hopefully plant probably at least 100 seeds along the property line a couple weeks ago. We're lucky to have a couple of our eastern red cedar trees are actually female trees, and they say they're supposed to berry every like 2 to 3 years, but we have this one tree over by the pond that makes copious amounts of berries every single year that we've been here. So, and those berries are the seeds for the trees. So I collected as many as I could off the tree, and I went ahead and spread them out in a lot of, I think over probably a 500-foot distance. So if they take root, then we're looking at least a couple hundred trees that'll sprout up, hopefully in the springtime. But the thing with those berries too is they're apparently predominantly dormant. So, and these freaking ladybugs are crazy, man.
I don't think they're actually ladybugs, but they look like ladybugs, and they've taken Like they've invaded our entire home.
Yeah. But anyway, apparently the seeds are predominantly dormant, so I don't expect every single one to take root, but hopefully we'll at least get a couple of them to take root. I noticed there was a lot of sprouts at ground level underneath that tree that always has the berries on it. So I know they'll sprout on their own, so yeah, hopefully they will. But anyway, let's load up and let's get to it. So here's a couple of the trees that I already transplanted that I just kind of found around the backside of the pond.
But yeah, you move out into the middle of the country, buy 20 acres, put your house as close to the middle as you can. It's all very heavy wooded, thick, dense forest, and still individuals do not understand the concept of privacy and respecting somebody else's privacy. And while I'm very grateful that there are orders of protection in place by the court to protect Cody and I's privacy, those are not indefinite. They're not going to last forever, and it's very important for us to do this now for our future selves. While it may take several years to get a full, thick privacy fence of trees, at least we're starting the process now, and hey, maybe our children or our grandchildren who inherit the property, they'll at least get privacy.
Guys, I just wanted to take a quick second to tell you about today's sponsor, Bamboo Labs, and their A1 3D printer. They made this printer so easy to use that you do not have to know anything about 3D printers to get yourself one and get started with 3D printing. It's as simple as pulling up the app, finding something you want to print, and just pressing print. The 3D printer itself takes care of all the rest. It'll auto level itself, and it even changes filament colors by itself. This has become probably one of the most used tools in our house, and I swear we have it going just about every single day printing something. Summer went through earlier and found a couple things that she wanted printed, so I just go into my liked section, press prepare to print, choose the color that I want to use, and then press print. And then it wirelessly sends the print job over to the printer, and the printer starts making it. Now, while that gets started, I'll show you a couple of the things that I've actually made with this 3D printer since we got it. So Summer wanted an articulating phone stand to be able to hold her phone while she's cooking and stuff in the kitchen. So we were able to make that. It's all completely 3D printed parts. There's no actual metal screws or anything like that on it. We had our batteries just kind of strewn about in a drawer in the kitchen. So we were able to make a battery box. I made a 3D printed wrench, and then a propeller for the trolling motor, a handle for some grocery bags, the glow-in-the-dark phone stand. The possibilities are literally endless. It's just whatever you can come up with. And everything comes out super high quality. The two-tone color on the top of this battery box that I made, it actually printed both of these colors at the same time, so I didn't have to switch the filaments, it switched it by itself. And the box was completely print in place. So it actually printed this hinge and these latches all at the same time. I didn't have to put anything together. It was just ready to go as soon as it was done. So if you're thinking about diving into 3D printing, there's no better time than right now. Bamboo Labs is kicking off their biggest sale of the year starting October 21st, and that's through December 3rd, including Cyber Monday. You'll get the biggest discounts on all of their products. So if you're big into 3D printing, or it's something you've thought about doing and you just want to get started with it, there's no better option than the Bamboo Labs A1 3D printer. It's perfect for novices as well as experts. Thank you so much to Bamboo Labs for sponsoring today's video. We have gotten so much use out of this printer. I definitely recommend you go check it out and get yourself one. Now we're gonna let this finish printing and we're gonna get back to work.
Cody and I are pretty big advocates on keeping the forest, not disrupting it too much, and really making sure that our interaction level is very limited, which is why we barely cleared any land to build our house and don't have any intentions on clearing more land. As much as we want animals and Cody wants a horse, we really don't want to clear land and want to try to keep it as much of a forest as we possibly can. While that's the case, I also believe that we should be using what God gave us, and He does provide. And so these trees create a ton of privacy. They just don't really help us a whole ton when they're way back here. We can move them up there and actually utilize them. So we are surrounded by beautiful cedar trees, and that's what we're going to be getting today. Okay, so I'm 5'2", This is about a 6-foot tree. This is the size that we would be picking up from the nursery if we purchased them, and this tree would be anywhere between $90 and $120. We literally got quoted this morning. This is exactly what we want right here. This is one of the trees that we're going to be attempting to transport back up to the front of the property. While she may look tiny right now, with the perfect amount of sun and where we're going to place her, and with a little bit of love and care, she is going to get quite big and become a very beautiful tree. This is the whole goal here. Use what we can. Can't expect Cody to do all the work himself, so I'm gonna walk back up to the tractor, get myself a shovel, and help him out. We did call a couple of the rental companies in the area, and then even the place where we got our tractor, to see if we could purchase an attachment, specifically like a tree spade, but there are just none within our area, or none that we could find. So a lot of this is going to be done by hand, but the holidays are here, and honestly I could use the workout, so it'll be fine. Just a little bit of work.
Okay, we're gonna need the tractor a little closer.
That's a big tree.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to tell them why we're doing this now in the fall versus the spring? Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be slightly confused and think that the tree is just going to die.
No, these trees are best transplanted when they're dormant, and they're dormant in the winter. So you want to make sure you get them transplanted at least 6 weeks before a freeze, but you also want to transplant it late enough in the year that it's not still growing. You can transplant them basically any time of year.
They're really hardy.
Yeah, they just do better whenever they're already dormant. I didn't think we were going to be able to get a tree this big, so I'm happy about it. Yeah. For this bushy guy next.
That boy right there.
She's a little thick with it. Up.
Because of the size and age of these trees, it's a lot easier to transport them because there's not a ton of root loss. So when you're transporting a tree, you want to keep about 50% of the root ball intact to be able to ensure that the tree is going to get its best chance of survival. So as you can see, there's very minimal root loss here, and so this tree should thrive essentially. Like I said, there's obviously a ton of variables that go into it, but in terms of salvaging the roots, we should be good. So here's where the tree was. We got far enough around it to be able to ensure that all the roots would stay intact. Another issue that I'm running into is I'm allergic to literally everything, and I can just tell that I'm about to start breaking out in hives. So probably gonna have to take an oatmeal bath later, and I probably should have put pants on, but it is what it is. Kind of hard to see on camera, but it just started. Are you hobbling like that because of your foot? I'm just giving him a hard time. Do you want to tell everybody how your foot is doing?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't know, it was fine the next day. It was so weird. Like, it got to a point the night before where I could, like, not even walk on it. And then a couple hours later, it was fine. So, weird.
I tried to help him, but he said it's a little too awkward for both of us to try to carry them. So, I shall transport the supplies. We're really only going to be able to do 2 at a time because they take up the entire tractor bucket of our tiny little tractor. So It is what it is. All right, so I think I want to take this one right here. She's a nice size.
Mm-hmm. There's another one over here I saw too.
I don't think we can get much bigger. I mean, there's a ton of huge ones, but I don't think we should get much bigger than that.
That one's too close to that oak tree.
Yeah. Oh, this one right over here is nice. It shoots downhill a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of good sized ones right over here. Let's go look.
Okay. Do you think this one is too close to this oak tree? Because she's a nice size. It's the one that I was talking about.
Honestly, all these right here are great size.
I know. I don't want to take too many of them, though. Maybe just like 2.
There may not be one over here burying this here, but one of them definitely produces berries with how many are over here. And I've seen a lot of little sprouts on the ground, so I'm not really worried about how many we take over here. And besides, this isn't like a deer bedding area or anything like that.
There's a couple down there that are really nice size too. I don't want to take a lot of these little ones. I'd rather take the ones that are about the same size that we just took.
Like all these little ones right here would be way easier to dig up than the last 2 we just did, and then we could take like 4 at a time instead of 2. Also going to do different rows too, so like we'll put all the biggest ones closest to the chicken coop, and then the next row out will be a little smaller. So there's tons of little sprouts like this around, and then we have some that are even like this tall, like just sprouted this year probably. So we have plenty of next generation cedars that'll be growing over here, so I'm not really worried about the ones that we're taking.
Okay, Cody went and walked to go find the property line, and now I lost him. I don't know if I should stay where I'm at or if I should go try to find him. Oh, there you are. We've never really taken you guys back here, and we don't really come back here a whole ton because there isn't a trail that's cleared, but we're on the back half of our property, and we actually own all of this back here. So a ton of property is not utilized. We were just kind of joking around, like maybe we should build a road and put a house back here. I don't know, but it's really nice and secluded. We just don't really have a ton of access back here because of just the way that the hill sits and how far back it is. But I don't know, it's really nice and quiet. Maybe we should kind of make just like a little road. I know a ton of people who build houses. I mean, getting materials back here would be kind of hard, but I know a ton of people who build houses smack dab in the middle of the woods, and the only way to get to them is with an ATV, which I don't think that I would particularly mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, but
getting materials would be hard.
Yeah, and it'd have to be a stick-built house. We can't get a shipping container back here.
There's no way. How would we get the crane? There's no way.
Yeah, we'd have to build a legit road, and then that kind of defeats the purpose.
We could put a barn dominium.
It's still difficult to get materials back here.
It's worth a thought.
Yeah. Well, 2 halfway done, I guess.
I'm gonna go make a sandwich because I'm getting cranky. Do you want a sandwich? It's literally all gone. You want one?
I set the 2 we got where they're gonna go. Now let's go get 2 more. All right, so we got about a 6-foot tree right here, so we're gonna try and take her down.
She does not look 6 feet from the angle that I have it.
Probably a little bit shorter.
No, I have it at 0.5 mode, and since we're downhill, it looks like very small.
It's 6 feet. It's like just under. It's only a little taller than I am, and I'm not 6 foot.
I'm thinking that one.
Out here behind the chicken coop, we're gonna start getting these trees transplanted. The sunset's been getting earlier and earlier, so I think we're probably only gonna get these 4 in the ground today.
She sits perfect.
All right, we got all the trees in the ground. Now for the final step, we're gonna go ahead and water them just to get the dirt to settle in. And it is supposed to rain tonight, so I'm not gonna water them too much. And then if it ends up not raining, I'll just water them more in the morning.
The goal is for one day, those little baby trees that we just transported to turn into these giant monsters.